morning. Before I forget, coin cell battery operated maintaining SRAM on Vexus, right? That would be really cool, because then we could just boot each time and then load SRAM and resume or recover state. State is what is important. The state is what is important. To all these functional programmers, programming languages, enemies of the state. Programming humor. Right. I'm thinking about a couple things. So, I'm thinking about the M word. You know the word. Marketing. Your skin just crawls when you say it. I've kind of talked myself into, well, not being intragnisant, not being ridiculous, because marketing is still what I consider to be a dark art. It is something that is intentionally misleading to people and what is it? Plays on people's fears, plays on people's gut reactions. It attempts to get an immediate, non-thoughtful reaction out of people, and by doing so, gets people to part with their money, and usually be unhappy about it afterwards. Although there are tricks to make people happy about it afterwards, which is also bothersome. But this is that bit about MikeMike and build macros and be more efficient. And if you tell the regular office worker, hey, you could really be more efficient, they say, well, you just sound like my boss. Like, this is not a good thing. Unless I'm selling to their boss, which is the possibility, I think. But there's a potential for people to be able to take advantage of MikeMike and reduce their workload while they are, if we're getting into this territory, people are working from home and their boss is not over their shoulder, and their boss isn't staring at their computer going, well, what are you doing there? What did you get done? What are you working on right now? So they have the way to measure your productivity is, are you doing the same amount of work, or do you or worse, do you seem busy? Do you seem busy? Okay. do you seem busy, which is 10 times worse probably. But the point is that you're creating an exchange of services and value that says if you accomplish X amount of work, then you will receive compensation commensurate to that amount of work. If you reduce the amount of work that you complete, then probably without explanation, then you're not going to have a good time. You're going to find someone else who can do it. So the point is to be able to accomplish the same amount of work in a reduced amount of time, or just with reduced stress on your part. The amount of clicking that you have to do. These are actually things that are physically harmful to you, these things. It's the incessant clicking on different menu items, things, moving mice around for things that are repetitive actions that need to take place over and over. MikeMike in particular has the advantage there because if you're working on a work computer, you generally don't have access to install stuff. You do have access to plug in a mouse and a keyboard, possibly a second mouse and a second keyboard. Surprise. Quelle Surprise. I don't know how to pronounce that. Quelle Surprise? I don't know. Where was I? Yes. So, getting a MikeMike installed, not installed actually, plugging a MikeMike in and having some education as to how to use it and how to build macros with it, and then being able to save those macros. A Pro Micro is probably not big enough, but at the pricing I'm going to go for, like the Pro Micro is going to be okay for tinkerers and hobbyists and people who understand the people who are somewhat technical and can dig into something like this and figure it out and learn how to use it. But for the more simple ones, I'm probably going to do something ridiculous like an Arduino Due or something. And there's a difference of $5 for a Pro Micro versus $50 for a Due. There's also a lot more high speed going on there, but high speed also means I have the option of opening this up to a display, making it a touchscreen display, you know, so I get feedback on, so you can give instant feedback on what people are doing, and offer, you know, like help stuff, things where people can actually determine what state is going on, what mode is going on, and interact with a menu in a familiar way. Not a, I guess a friendly way is the right way of putting it, but I wouldn't call it a very efficient way. But that's just me, you know. But this is not supposed to be made for people who are super technical and can figure this stuff out. It's supposed to be more accessible for people who want to get more time back in their day. So, the goal is to let people know that the operating system is made, not made, as a side effect. It kind of works against you. It's like having a Excel spreadsheet and going into someone's office and saying, hey, can you recalculate the money on that? And they say, recalculate the column on that spreadsheet? Sure thing. And they open up MS Paint, where they've got crudely drawn grid lines, and there's little text fields typed in there, and numbers and values. And he goes in and finds the column that he's looking for, you know, scrolls all the way to the right on the Paint, MS Paint, hand-drawn pictures on the computer screen, looks at the order, finds the column, and then pulls out a calculator, and then says, okay, when did it, scrolls down in his Paint program, does math on it, and says, okay, here's the total of that column. And you say, okay, can you sort that alphabetically? It's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. And then he goes through the list of all of the row headings, or the column, the row headings, figures out which one is first in the alphabet, and then moves all of it down, and then strips out that section, and then picks it up and carries it and puts it to the top, and then looks for the next one in the alphabet, and then moves everything around manually. And you're like, why don't you just use Excel? Like, the computer can help you do this. The computer can do those, the sorting functions, the math functions. It can move all that data around for you. Why are you using MS Paint? And that is the analogy for almost all user interfaces on operating systems these days. And in applications, just kind of in general. There's the computer can do more to reduce the amount of work that you have to put into it to get what you want. But it doesn't. Because it's either just badly designed, or intentionally badly designed, or just, you know, it's designed as a one-size-fits-all solution. And because it's a one-size-fits-all, it's not a perfect fit for everyone. In fact, it's not a perfect fit for most people. So that means that, you know, the computer, it's like, the power of the terminal is the video. You're walking down the hall inside the computer and walking into the computer, and you're already in the computer. It's redundant. It's ridiculous. And it's time consuming. And as previously established, it's actually literally physically harmful to your hands and your carpals and your tunnels. You know, a process that you do 100 times a day or 50 times a day is something that requires 10 clicks and a little bit of typing, tabbing around, obviously, smacking tab with your hand on the keyboard. That's great for your keyboard and great for your hand. No, I'm not. That's actually not true. It's not great for those things. All of this repeated motion, constant, and it's bad for you. And you do that process 50 times a day or 10 times a day. So you do it 10 times a day, and then you do it So 50 times a week, and 50 times a week is 250 times, or more than that, 250 times, 252, 251 times a year. That's not right. It's 2,500 times. You do that, repeated motion, 2,500 times in a year. How is that not damaging? And then how many years are you going to be doing that process? It's just nonsense. It doesn't even, I would say it's beyond argument, but obviously it's not. Maybe there's some kind of like problem with doing stuff in computers, like where everything's an abstraction. You're not like sawing wood, you're not hammering nails. Like, those things are physical labor. Therefore, I will impart more physical labor into the computer to make it feel like I'm doing something rather than just flipping bits around. Which, by the way, computers are really good at. Really need humans to do stuff like that. But there's no reason you should have to call it a right. Yeah. Humans have the right to not engage in repeated motions that are damaging, that are physically damaging to them, physically harmful to them. This is a computer operator's right. And it is kind of true, because it's I was thinking about it, and like it's a programmer's secret, and unfortunately not a lot of programmers know this secret. Get the computer to do work for you, and if that computer won't do the work for you, make a new computer that will do the work for you. This is the point of MikeMike. We're just reducing. There's a crane back there doing stuff. So there's some level of marketing, some kind of thing I can figure out that'll help people to stop hurting themselves and help people to realize that computers are not this thing that's working against them. It's not these things that the computers are like the medium, like the viscous fluid that they have to work their way through in order to accomplish their goal, when the computer should be the thing making it easier for you. It's shortening the distance between you and your goal. I just need to make marketing words for that. All right.